Hello, this is Gene, otherwise known as Manu Fanatic 99. Years ago, when I started this channel, I started talking about Manchester United. I thought after my stroke that it would be a good thing to talk about. It's something I'm interested into. And back then, it was before some other channels came online, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. The channel I want to talk about is Full-Time Devils. It's a fan supported Manchester United YouTube channel. Clearly they have some sort of backing. They're not just a bunch of 4 or 5 guys together that just did this on their own, because they clearly have good production values. So either one of them had a lot of money or they got sponsored, which I really don't care about. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I guess about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, after a game, I had a comment about David De Gea, talking about his when they were talking about how great he was, and I said, well, he's not the best goalkeeper in the world at that point, and he still isn't in my mind. I still believe back then that was Neuer from Bayern Munich. Now, again, this year, David De Gea has had a couple issues. He has a problem on certain type of goals. He uses his feet more than his hands to try to defect things. He hasn't really changed that problem in his game, because it is a problem, and he allows goals that it shouldn't have happened this year. Now, the last 3 years, he's been the players of the year for Manchester United. So, but that doesn't really mean anything, because we haven't done anything the last 3 years in the league. We've won the FA Cup, which is great, and we won the EFL Cup, but I don't think he really did a whole lot in that. So, anyway, so they actually responded to me, and because they're young, they're very emotional what they talk about. And because they support Manchester United, they have blinders in a lot of areas. So the last 18 months, I haven't really cared too much I mean, I still watch their content, and sometimes I respond in the comments. And believe me, I've been a supporter of the team longer than those guys have been alive. Trying to be a supporter of Manchester United before the internet was very difficult, but somehow I did it. And just because I'm American doesn't mean I don't understand how football is played. And what I see, and the person I'm going to talk about, is the guy that we paid so much money on him. And personally, I don't have an issue with the fact that we paid £89 million for him. I don't care about that. We're Manchester United. We can buy whoever we want to buy. So I'm going to talk about him, and then I'm going to talk about someone's particular that is a commentator for them. And then I'm going to send this to them, and they can do what they want to do with whatever they want to do. The player I'm talking about is Paul Pogba. Again, he is the most profitable player now, or got paid the most for him. And today, I mean, I was sitting there the whole year talking to them, basically defending his play this year. And personally, I don't think he's had a bad year. I think he's having problems acclimating to the Premiership. But he gets caught out pretty easy, and people understand what he likes to do with the ball. And I continually talk about his low IQ when it comes to playing football, and you can see it. And guys like Dave, statman guy, Dave, and I'll put his information below. I think that he would probably agree with me that there are guys on Manchester United who have a high IQ. People like Blend, people like Carrick, Herrera to a point. Like last night he got sent off, but Herrera usually gets away with doing stuff that he did last night. He got caught last night. But if you watch him as much as I have, he is very knowledgeable what he can get away with. Kind of like Costa. Costa should probably be red carded every game, but somehow he never does. And Herrera's got that in him as well. And I don't know if that's the Spanish thing that he has, but Pogba, Stephen Howson today, and that's the guy I'm going to talk about. I watched his review last night after the game, and basically he was defending Pogba, And I sat there and I said, it's shocking to me, the guy that has very good analysis when it comes to Manchester United usually will call out players that don't play well. I mean, he'll go after Fellaini, he'll go after Young, he'll go after everybody else. But when it's somebody like Pogba, he has blinders on, watching how he plays. Now, yes, without him on the pitch last night, it might have been 3 or 4-0. And he does what he has to do, but he called him a flair player today. And I'm trying to understand what a flair player is. When I think of like a flair player, I think of like Zola, or I think of Iniesta, or I don't think a guy that's one of the biggest guys on the team that looks like Patrick Vieira or Keane and should dominate in the midfield with his strength. Every time I watch them play, the commentators, and I don't sit there and say the commentators know everything, because they don't, but some of them are former players, and they talk about how strong he is in the midfield and how he can just hold on to the ball so well. That's not really what a flair player does, and I just don't understand why he said that about Pogba, because he's not a flair player. We don't really know what he is yet. Now, he's a guy that has so much athletic talent, so much potential, and that's why we went and bought him. But the question has to be asked, and why did Sir Alex Ferguson just let him go for nothing? Was there something to it? Now, again, I support the guy. I was happy that he came back to Manchester United, and I will support him. But when people are, I don't know, guys that get out there and these guys get upset when somebody said something against Pogba. Now, there's a difference to saying that he sucked or he was shitty today. Or I don't say that. I say that there's something that's worrying to me, that when he has the ball at his feet, that he makes stupid decisions. But he's had so many opportunities to do things, and some of them he's done well, and he gets the ball to the right place, and people haven't put in the back of the net. We know that Zlatan has missed a lot of good chances at goals, and so has Pogba. But you can see it. He loses the ball so much in midfield. Now, the question is, where is he supposed to play? Now, again, I've been watching football longer than these guys have been alive. In the United States, overseas, Spain, Germany. I've seen it everywhere. Okay, I was in England when the EPL first started, so I've seen some of the great players in the league, and I see that the potential that Pogba has. But I think they forget about how great there was, because he said last night that he was the best midfielder in the Premiership. Now the question is, okay, that might be true, but is that an indictment of how bad the Premiership is this year? If Conte is the next one, then that really is, because Conte is basically a guy that just is a gnat in the midfield. It's kind of like Herrera is, but Conte's a little bit better, probably a little bit faster than Herrera is, but Herrera isn't necessary with us. But when I look back in the early 90s, or late 90s, and you look at like Arsenal had in their midfield, or what we had in our midfield, it's night and day. And the fact that, and now granted, the referees have kind of changed how they referee the game. So you probably couldn't have a guy like Keane or Vieira sitting there, or Petit, or doing stuff like that, like they do now. Now, I think they probably figure a way around that. But it's not shocking. But every day I hear him, and I don't know that maybe in the back of his mind, or maybe he knows him. He's been there forever, right? Pogba was there on the youth team, and then he didn't get what he wanted, so he left, and he became a great football player, and we got him back. And maybe Steven knew him. You know, he defends Lingard all the time. You know, Lingard I like. I like the fact that you needed that type of player in your team. But what I saw last night, I saw a guy that, I'm going to say he wasn't arsed, let's say. But, again, after Herrera goes out, maybe that's all he can do. But I need somebody that's going to take over the game in some way. And he's just, apparently it's not in his, I'm not going to say in his makeup, because I think he has it. And I keep waiting for him to do it. But when a fan or a supporter wants to say something and has a decent knowledge of the game and says, hey, there's something going on here, he's not smart what he does with the ball, that should not be thrown out because, oh, you hate Manchester United, or you hate whatever, Pogba. And, of course, instead of just talking about this at this level and say, well, I don't agree with this supporter in the comments, or saying that, I don't agree. I've watched him his entire life. He's got a lot of in his game, in his locker, as they say. He says things like, "Well, nobody's upset about the Glazers spending so much of our money." And I'm like, well, I don't know what he's talking about, because there was marches at that time. People still are upset about it. People are upset because I'm a guy from the United States and they blame me for Glazer. I get shit online all the time about it. Of course, it has nothing to do with me. Or the fact that he owned the team near us, well, in Tampa. So, again, I don't know, from the financial side, still Manchester United is the most profitable team in the world, I think, in all sports. So I don't know why Glazer really is getting that bad of a thing. And when he buys it, he can do whatever he wants with it. He can put all the debt on it that he wants to. Now, it may suck for people locally. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if your tickets have gone up or whatever, or the experience is so different now at the stadium because the Glazers have been there. I don't know. So, but what I know is that there's something to be a supporter, and there's somebody that just says flip it comments. But to group us all into, oh, we hate Pogba, and guys on the full-time Devils know everything about football when they absolutely don't, it's clear to what I see. And there are several pundits that see the same thing, and that's why a lot of people are like, man, he's just not he's not living up to his price tag. Again, I don't care, but do I think he can? Yeah, I think the IQ issue can be fixed. I think that the only way it can happen. Excuse me, is if he's still in there with Carrick or Schweinsteiger. I think that really would have helped him. And he actually said something today, Steven, and I'll give him credit for that. He said that he had great midfielders with him when he's in Juve. And that's what I've been saying for the last 6 months. Well, I won't say that, 4 months. I've been saying it's clear he needs another person next to him, somebody like Vidal. And Carrick can be that person, but he's not, obviously he's not the same. In his prime, he would have been, he's as good as Vidal, let's say. But he's not the same type of player. But that's what Pogba needs, so he can go do what he needs to do, so he can go box to box. And he's not the greatest guy to hold on to the ball. He loses the ball a lot, and he loses on himself. It's not like he makes a pass, 30 or 40 yards down the field. He loses it right there near the goal, and that needs to be called out. And I like what Jose said yesterday, because he knows that they're going to blame him, even though it was Herrera that actually got sent off. But the fact that he's the guy that has all the money on him, and he says that all that pressure is on him and stuff, and he's defending him, I think he needs to do that. Any good coach is doing that, and I salute him for it. And I like what he said about the Chelsea fans as well. But that's really all I have to say. Again, like I said, about 18 months ago, I said things about David Gidea. Personally, I don't think that we would lose a beat if he left. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think that he's been overblown for Manchester United fans. He's okay. He's probably one of the 2 or 3 best in the Premiership. I just don't think that he's any better than the guy that's starting behind him. I don't. I think that that will be fine with Marrero, the guy from Argentina, as our goalkeeper next year. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think that David's going to leave in the summer. I hope we get something for him. Hopefully we'll get somebody that is either a great center back or somebody to partner Pogba in midfield. I don't think we need other strikers. I think we have enough. And it's going to be hard the last 12 games to try to get in the top 4, because as we've been doing this stuff, playing in these different tournaments, teams are getting points while we're waiting until we get back to the Premiership, and we have to go up to, I guess, Borough this weekend without Zlatan and Herrera. So hopefully maybe Bastian will get a chance to play. I don't understand why he hasn't had a chance to play. I think that would really help Pogba. Well, that's all I have. Let's see what they have to say. You guys, thank you for watching, and share if you want to. And we guys can talk later about other stuff, and I'll have other issues that we have to talk about on this channel, and maybe I'll talk about Manchester United more. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.